Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the YummyArts kitchen. Today we present Tami Utley. Yay! And she's going to talk to us about naked cakes. Take it away, Tami.
Bear cakes, unfrosted cakes, whatever you want to call them. The first time I heard this term was it was at our cake club, and I was shocked. But when she told me what it was, then I had to go and look them up. And you know, they're absolutely wonderful for people who don't like frosting, which my family is one. My family, when I cut the tops off my cakes, that's what they eat. They won't eat the cake once I frost it, but they eat the cake with no frosting all the time. So this is perfect for my family, which is why I never get to make cake pops, because the crumbs are gone. So anyways, thanks for joining us today. There's more to these cakes than meets the eye. Obviously, there's not a lot of room for error. You really have to bake it and tort it properly. If you've got I don't know how much the Egg Bay torter thing is for leveling your cakes. I don't own one. So I'm going to show you a trick on how to get nice even layers like this one has. So it has really pretty 1-inch layers. So nice. I'll show you it's an old trick. I know it's on the internet, but it's an old trick on how to do it. There's a couple ways to do it. Also, you notice this is a chocolate cake, but I don't have any of that white nasty stuff on the side of it. And there's a really old school trick for that one too.
What white nasty stuff you're talking about?
You know how there's normally flour and stuff when you flour your cake pan?
Oh, that's right.
And there's usually white flour crumbly stuff on the side of your cake here. You notice I don't have that. Yeah, there's a trick to not getting that
Gotcha.
on a chocolate cake. You can do it on a colored cake too. So we're going to be doing a 2-tiered cake. You notice I already did. This is a 10-inch tier. I already did this one because I only have an hour and I didn't want to see you guys watching me do this. And I already put the dowels in it. You do want to make sure, because this doesn't have any crumb coating on it, that you wrap it up in cellophane or some sort of plastic wrap, not cellophane, a plastic wrap, and wrap it nice and tight, because there's nothing to keep this cake from getting stale. Normally the icing, a crumb coat will seal it. You don't have that. I also bake this not as far ahead. Normally I bake on Wednesday. I'll tort, crumb coat on Thursday, and then do my icing and doweling and decorating on Friday, and then deliver on Saturday. That's what I normally do, because the crumb coat keeps it fresh. But for this cake, I actually bake on Thursday and let it firm up in the refrigerator overnight, and then do the torting and filling and everything on Friday, because there's nothing else to do. So it goes really fast though, which is really nice. So this is a 10-inch. I'm going to put a 6-inch on top of it. So I've got the dowels in here. So here is the smaller tiers, and as you can see, I actually leveled it off. I didn't quite make it up to the side. So if you look at this, you can see how one made it all the way up to the corner and the other one kind of rounds there. See, I didn't quite make it, but that's okay, because if I put that where the filling is, it will actually hide that a little bit. So, that's an error, but that's an easy one to hide. Just try to make sure, when I normally bake these, I was just running short on batter. And when I normally bake them, I'll put in the required amount of batter for a 6-inch pan that's like 2 cups. I actually put in an extra 1/4 of a cup, just to make absolutely sure that this is going to rise up to the edge and not just the dome. I want to make sure it rises evenly. You use those baking strips also, that helps out. Get it all the way up to the side so you get that full 2 inches. You can also bake, if you have 1-inch pans, bake in a 1-inch pan. Okay, let me move this out of the way for a second. The other thing that I did to get these nice, and you can use to get this nice brown, you can use the parchment paper on the bottom of the pan. Don't use it on the sides though. At least when I use it on the side, it actually made my cake tilt. It actually made it curve. So you really don't want to do that. So basically what I did is, you could use the parchment on the bottom to get a nice bottom, but what I ended up doing is, old school trick, when you do a chocolate cake, what you do is you actually, instead of spraying it with nonstick and then coating it with flour, you actually coat it with, if you're using a cake mix, coat it with a chocolate cake mix. Or in my case, if you're using a scratch recipe, just take a little bit of flour and a little bit of your, I'll end up wearing it, a little bit of your cocoa powder, and mix that together. Okay, And I do mix the flour with it, because what happens when I spray my pan, if I just coat it with just cocoa powder, it tends to really absorb it. And so you get a really chocolatey outside. But it's better if you put just a little bit of flour in it. Mix it up really good so it's a nice color. You can make it even darker. Okay? So it's the color of your dry mix. Or in my case, my mix didn't work that way, so I just did that. This is what I did. And then I just put this in my pan, sprayed the pan with my cooking spray, put this in the pan and popped it around so I had a nice chocolate coating in my pan, and then put the batter in, and this is what you get when it comes out. So that's just an old school trick.